Hello, welcome back, welcome along. If you're new, please remember hit that subscribe down there and hit the thumbs up and hit the notifications bell, it all helps. So here we are now, back with part 2 of this beauty. This is the brand new Magic Factory 1/9 scale Honda Fireblade, and it's looking like a beautiful little model. And if you remember in step 1, if you haven't already seen it, I talk about understanding the instructions, the icons, reading the sprues, how to do about, the bits they're telling you. It's all like for the beginner, because I think there's going to be a lot of bikers out there who've got one of these or just love this bike and they'll want to go and build one because they want to make one. Not because they want to build scale models, they just want to make this model. So they may have had their eyes on the Meng kits as well, but they tend to be quite pricey. So best off getting one of these. This one's much cheaper. This is available, or will be available, as soon as it comes into the country from the importer Tiger Hobbies. There'll be a link in the description below, and also other retailers around the place as well are doing pre-orders on it. So we've done step 1. That's here. Everything is done. While I was off camera, if you remember, I tried to glue this in. I think what happened is, as soon as I touched it, because this was actually falling out, as soon as I touched it, I think the glue set. So I drilled it out and glued it in. So that's in there nice. And the other thing I did, I put a drop of black super glue on this piece here, because this is one piece, and I just put a drop of black super glue on there just to sort of glue them together. So that's the only thing that I've done off the instructions so far. If you remember, also we did some decals in part 1. We also did the decals on the oil filter, which is part of part 2, but so I didn't have to worry about getting the water out. And also they need to cure for a while before you start handling them. And I've also looked forward in the instructions, and I put the Öhlins decal on the remote reservoir there, as you can see. So there we are. So moving forward, excuse me, part 2, we have the engine, as you can see here, and we have the parts. E30, we have D1, we have E7, D2, L6, E8, E22 and E4. Now on here there are sprue gates, so I've gone around with the silver Sharpie and cleaned up there on that side and there on that side. So that's that done. So that's all looking good. It's not really very clear where that's going actually. There's an arrow just pointing to there and I can't see where it goes. I think it's a timing chain tensioner. So it probably goes on there like that. Yes, it does. It goes like that on there. You can see we've got there's 3 sort of extensions on it, and only one has got a hole in. There's 3 extensions here and only one has got a pin on. So that's going to go on there like that. And that pushes on. I've just broken that super glue away. That's going to push on there like that, nice and snug. There we go. I'll have to super glue that again. So that's that on there. That's E4. And then I'm going to fit L6, the oil filter. I don't want to fit those flimsy little pipes yet. So this oil filter has got a tang on it and there's a slot in there. And it's just going to go into that slot and push in and up like that. Okay, there we go. You might want to glue this actually. Looking at it, you may want to glue it. So I'm just going to get it to go back in properly. Here we go. You need to be careful where you're handling this, because there's all these flimsy little parts that are easily broken. As you can see, I just broke the glue away there. But the parts are very tough, they're ABS. So here, looking here, we're going to the engine this way round. So I'm going to fit. They don't tell you any order of fitting parts. I wish they did. Now, that pipe there, I'm going to fit this part E30 first. So that's going to go over that extension there. You can see it's got there's a circular raised area with a slot in it. So that's going to push on over there, just like so. Like that. And that's just going to sit like that. And then we've got this pipe here coming off of it. So that is actually going to go So that is actually going to go underneath that. Okay, so I believe what we need to do here is slot that into there like that first, and then we'll put this on. You can see there's a little square block, little square cutout there for that tang to go into. So we'll put that together like that. I wish they'd actually done in the instructions, and if you're watching Magic Factory, take a tip from me. I think you should put a build sequence order, so sort of 1, 2, and then 3, and then, you know, and because if this is aimed at beginners, they're going to struggle. Now this pipe here is going to go around that raised area there and into there, into that D-shaped hole there. So that's going to go into there like so. That's a nice snug fit again. Okay, now this pipe here, E7, is going to push onto, it's going like that. We've got a nice view here so we can see what's going on. So that is going to push onto that D-shaped pin like so. So I can't quite see, I think this is going to go into there, isn't it? So this pin on here is going to go into the end of this pipe here. Just like so. There we go. And then we've got this piece here, D2, is going to go over and complete that pipe. Oh, blimey, this is a bit awkward. There we go. And I'm going to grab my tweezers and pull that together like so. Again, you see, if you're a scale modeler, you would probably want to deal with this seam here, take some material away from that pin and then close that up properly. But if you don't want to do stuff like that, this is the job you're going to end up with. Okay, sorry about the noise, that's Dottie with her toys. Now we have E4 is already fitted there, so we've got L6 is already in, so we've got E8, which is going to go this way round, and that's going to go into that hole there. So we've got a D-shaped pin on here, we've got a D-shaped hole there, and that is going to go into there like so. Just like that. Okay, that's asking to get snapped off. And then this one here, got a big long tang on that side. That's going to go into that hole there. So we've got a big rectangular tang on there that's going to go into there, and that's going to push down into that hole, and we'll just get some tweezers on there and give it a final shove to keep it in, and that is not going to want to stay in there. So I think what I'm going to do here, I've got a drop of black super glue here. I think I've just got enough. I'm going to put some in that hole. There's not enough here. I'm going to get some more. I'll get the stuff for PE to clear. I'm going to put a drop of this on here. There we go. And then using this little glue applicator, you can use a cocktail stick or whatever. I'll just put some glue in that hole. I hope this goes better than it did the last time. And then I'm going to quickly put that into that hole like that, quickly, not like before. Don't hang around like I did before and it glued itself in there. Okay, so I think that's everything. So that's step 2 complete. So we've got our oil filter, we've got our pipes, our coolant hoses here, I think, go into the radiator. We've got some, that's going to go to the radiator, isn't it? These are maybe oil cooler hoses. So there we go. So that's that one done. That's stage 2. Right, stage 3, over the page, we're going to be dealing with the intake system and the starter motor by the look of it. So I'm going to get all these parts off and then I'll come back. Okay, so there's the parts all off, and you will notice there's one part missing, D20. And when you come along to the D sprue, you will see we've got the D sprue, there's the D, and there's 20, and there's nothing there. Oh no, it's missing. Oh no, it's okay. It's in here. It's in this tray. Go away, drawing. It's in this tray. So we can open this tray and we can see, come on, we can see here we have D20. You can see it there. There is D20. So there's the part. Okay, so they've taken it off the sprue and sprayed it for us. Okay, so that's very good of them. Right, so we just check. Sprue gates are all good. They've cleaned them up before they painted it. So that's good. There's the sprue gate there, look. So that's all good. Right, so I'm going to take my, as we did before, I've got my silver Sharpie. So we're going to touch where we've taken the sprue gates off. The other one is on the end of that pin. We'll paint that, we don't need to. And on this one here, we've got on the back, we may as well colour in that whole round bit, and that makes it look better. And then on the side here, we've got a little thing. I think Dottie knows when I'm talking on here. She can make as much noise as she likes because she's a little cow. Right, so we have E6, which is the back part of our starter motor, and I can't see which way around this is going. Looks like it's that way, like that. It's going like that. Okay, it's that way up. And then we have this part here, F22. Now, there's no indication as to which way it goes. Yes, there is. It's going to go on that way. So you've got this semicircular attachment here, and then we've got that part there. And they're just going to push together. That's quite a snug fit. And then we've got this piece going on the end. Again, that's a snug fit. We've got a tab and a slot to line up. So I think that's the starter motor there. Okay, so that's going to go on. Again, they're not giving us any build order sequence here, so we need to make sure we're looking at what we're doing. So we're this way round. So we've got this cover going on here. So obviously the Honda's going to be upright. So that's going on there, and it's not a very tight fit, but it doesn't seem to want to come off, so it's very clever in that respect. We've got E11, which is this little piece here, is going to go on, and that's going to go in between those two raised areas and into that slot behind. We've got to be very careful of these pipes. They're going to be easily broken off, and that's going to go into there like that. Okay, so that piece, you can see that's E11 fitting in there. And then we've got E27, which is going this way round with those bolt heads facing this way. Okay, so that's going to go down into there. And just push down in. That's a nice fit. And then the starter motor is going to go down over the top of it all. So we have a slot, a pointy thing. We have a slot there and a slot there. I think that's where the starter motor is going to go, into those two slots like that. And those slots are cleverly moulded on the correct angle, so it sits in there lovely. And as you can see here, we've got it's going onto those bases where it's bolted down. Now you can see here it's not quite sitting quite straight, and I don't think it's supposed to, but there we go. Maybe it's some kind of canister, not a starter motor. I don't know, but it's sitting on an angle, but it looks like it's supposed to, because if you look, it's square on this side. That piece there is square with the, so I think it's supposed to be on a slight angle. Strange. But as I say, they've got no build sequence in here, so follow my lead, because you need to put those two bits in before that starter goes in, or you won't be able to get those two bits, or you'll get that one in, but it makes it less fiddly if that's not in the way. Okay, so moving across to this side now, we've got this little pipe here, L11, and that is going into a slot in the top of there. So I'm going to get my tweezers, I'm going to grab this pipe, which is L11, and that's going to go into the top of there somehow. Is that going to stay there? There is no way that is going to stay there. So what I'm going to do is get a drop of super glue, which is in here. Just dip that in there and just drop that down into that hole. It's twisting around in the pliers now just to be awkward. There we go, that's gone down in like that. Okay, so that's, they say you don't need glue. There's no way that's going to stay in there. As soon as you tipped it upside down, it would just fall out. And then this piece here, this tiny little bit here, E10, we'll see if that one stays in. That's got to come here, engine. We've got a little D-shaped hole and a D-shaped pin. So that, oh no, found it, put it in, there it is there, that tiny little piece there, D10. Again, it's not a very snug fit, but I don't think it's going to come out. My worry is with this is when you've got parts like this that don't fit very solidly, the worry is that they're going to fall out when it's all been put together, and then you can't get to it to get it back in. So what I'm going to do is use my little super glue applicator, and I'm just going to put a little drop of super glue in there. And that's going down in there. Okay, and I'm going to grab a cotton bud and just give that a wipe over just to get rid of any excess glue that's there. Okay, so I suggest gluing those two parts, L11 and E10. Okay, so we have E17. That's a pop band one. E17 is going that way, and then we've got this piece here going on top. So this is that's our fuel injector rail with our fuel injector caps on it, and then this piece here, D39. Again, we have a D-shaped hole and a D-shaped pin. The flat is on the top, so that is going to go on there like that, and that must be a tapered hole because it locks itself on. So there's our electronic throttle body, and then this assembly here is going to pop down into those holes onto the intake, onto the cylinder head. Again, being careful of these pipes on the front of the engine. There we go, that's just gone in like that. Okay, so there's our engine built up, and we can see already for the scale modelers out there, painting this and adding a bit of detail is going to make it absolutely beautiful. It's lovely as it is, but you can see that, you know, it would be nice to see some tonal variations in metallic colours and everything. So there we go. Okay, so they're all done. I'm not crossing it off on my instructions now. I suggest you do, but I'm not doing it. Basically, you don't want to sit here watching me do crosses, do you? So now we're going to move on to step 4, which is the rear suspension assembly. So I'm going to get all these parts out ready, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so all those parts are off, all cleaned up, and we're just going to go round, and I'm going to touch up where my little sprue gates were with the silver Sharpie, as you can see there. There. Where else is there? That's the end of that pin. That doesn't matter, the end of that pin. We've got one there on that flat area, and then we've got one there. Get rid of those, and then we've got one there, and that whole end there needs to be done. We've got a black mark there as well, as obviously I've touched it with the knife. Got that end, and that end, that end, and that end, and then there and there, and that's that for the silver. Now we've got this little Öhlins part here, and this is obviously this anodized gold colour. So I've got these were sent to me by Galeri for a video, and I've made a video on them. They're very, very good. You get 10 of these metallic colours in there. Go and have a look at the website and get yourself some ordered. You've got 10 metallic colours in there, and you can see them all there. Lovely colours. So if you don't want to get a Sharpie, you could use these on your silver paint as well. But we've got this one here. You give them what you do. You give them a good shake, okay, and then just push the nib onto something, and you can see you get the paint coming out. and it matches this quite well. All I'm going to do is just touch those black bits. Probably just going to need more than 1 or 2 coats. Maybe I haven't shaken it enough, but you get the idea. So touch that there. Now it's not really doing a very good job at all, because it's what we need to do is put a silver on it first and then put the gold on after. But I'll leave that like it is for now. Maybe come back to it in a second. Okay, so we can get on with the assembly. I've tried to do that, but what we need to do is put silver on first, let it dry, and then touch some gold on there. But I just want to move on with the build, really. So I don't think, when we look at the images of the bike, it's not actually visible here at all. So I mean, there it is there, that canister. It's hidden up behind there, so it should be fine like it is. Right, so we have the spring. Now what we'll do is we'll start over here. So we've got G12, which is this part here, and that's going to go down over G10. So it's obvious how they go. There it's that's going like that. And then this in turn is going to push onto this piece here, which is G16, which is that way round. Again, we've got a D-shaped hole, D-shaped pin. Push those together nice and snug like that. Okay, so that's the base of our spring. So now we've got this part here, G14 and G23, and they're going to go together like so, with a couple of pins. They're together like that, and then got those two there, and now we're going to put the spring onto this base here. Okay, and that fits quite nicely over there. And then we've got this piece here going onto the top like that, and then we've got, here's our magnetic tool base. So we've got screw G, which is here. Is this screwdriver magnetic? No, it's not. So we can drop that screw down into there, drop this down onto there, hold it together, grab our screw, and hang on, I've put that screw in on an angle. I'm just going to wind it back out, get it in nice and square, and then just wind it in. And this screw has a reduced size thread on it, so it's got there's a shoulder on the screw, so it will pull down nice and tight. There we go. That's our spring now sat down on the seat, lovely like that, and we've got working suspension. And then this unit here is just going to push down onto there. We've got these little cylinders on the side, these little adjusters. They're going to push on the side there, and then we've got this piece here. Now that's going to go that way on the back of the engine, so we want to make sure we get the O-lins the right way up. So there we are, that's gone on there like that. Okay, there we are, job done. Now this pipe here is going to go on the side of the engine here. That's going to be sticking out, asking to get broken off along with all the others. So that's just going to slip onto there. That's a very tight fit. Be careful where you're squeezing. There we go. So that's like that. And then we've got this screw here. So we're going to put the top of our shock absorber into there. Somehow hold it. We're going to drop this screw down into that hole like so. If you have a magnetic screwdriver, it'd be a lot easier to use that. Then we just wind that screw into there. And that will help to hold the engine halves together as well. Okay, so now you've got movement on there, so that's for our That's for our swinging arm, that's our rear suspension done. Lovely. Right, and you can see even though I've left those bits black, they hardly show at all, so that's absolutely fine. So that's how it should look when it's done, and that's how it does look when it's done. We can put that to one side, put that to one side, and there we go. So now we're going to be looking at doing the exhausts. Should we do that now, or should we leave it till the next part? I think we'll do all of this, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so as you can see, all of these parts here are on the case sprue, and here is the case sprue. Now, I'm not going to go and cut all these off like I normally do and lay them on the bench, because we'll probably lose which is which. So I'm going to do one at a time. So we've got K4 and K8. So K4 is this one here. K8 is that one there. Sorry, K4. K8 is over here. So cut right up to it because it's all on the ends. Okay. And then just I'm going to give that a quick wipe over with the sanding stick, just to make sure there's no excess on there, and then that is going to push onto there. And as I said in my review, if you are a scale modeler and you're after all the best accuracy and everything, you would now be gluing this and filling and sanding these seams and everything. But as I've said on countless occasions, the intention of this build is to see what we can get out of the box. I've had to use glue on a couple of places, admittedly, but I was expecting that anyway. You know, most of these kits. The only manufacturer I think that really does do well with push together is Bandai, obviously. They're very, very good. But they must spend an absolute fortune on test shots and research and refining their tooling. Okay, so put these two together. Like so. If you can hear a funny squeaking noise, that's Dottie chewing her rubber pig. She likes to play a part in these videos. Okay, so I'm going to carry on. I'm laying them out A, B, C, D. I'll do these two and then I'll come back and we'll see where we go from there. Alright, so they're done. Okay, so that's all done there, A, B, C, D. So we can leave those lined up like that. And then I think what we'll do now is we're going to skip ahead and fit these to the engine so we don't get them mixed up. And then we can come back and build this and then add those. So we have our engine here. So we've got A, is this one here. So it goes with the solid part at the top. Obviously that peg won't fit in that hole, so you can't get it wrong. So this is going to go like that into there, just like so. And then B is going to slot in next to it. You can't physically put them the wrong way up, so don't worry about that. And then C is going to sit in there like that. And then D finally. They don't show these pipes, but it looks like they go on the inside of these pipes anyway. Yes, they do. So that's going to go in like that. So we've got all our pipes in there now, like so. Okay, that one there. They've got plenty of movement in there so that we can get these connectors on. So there's our exhaust pipes on the engine like so. Okay, so let's get these parts done. So we've got K16 and K18. So we can just cut those off flush because they're butt faces. 18, K16 and K18. So this is A. I'm just gonna use a knife rather than sander because I don't want to expose loads of black plastic. The same here, just remove a little bit in the middle. Push these together. Nice snug fit there. And then this is A. So A is going to go onto that side. And we can see we've got D-shaped pins so it can see which way around it's going to go. So they are going to push onto those pipes like so. There we go. That's that one in. Okay, and then we'll do the next one, which is 15 and 17, obviously, because that's all we've got left. 15 and 17, like that, and like, oh, we have a little peg on the end of there. Okay, so again, using the knife, we'll just remove a little bit of the sprue gate like that, and a bit like that, and then just drop these together. Nice snug fit on there again, and then we'll get the engine, turn it over, and these are going to fit into those pipes that way around. That's a nice snug fit in there as well. Lovely. Okay, and then finally we've got this little, I'm guessing this is a catalytic converter, is it, or something? We've got this here, which is K11, K10 and K19. So we've got 10, 11 and 19. Obviously 19 is the mounting bracket. Okay, so we'll cut that excess sprue from there, put it in the bin, and we've got excess sprue gate there, so that's good. It's nice they've put that on the surface. Cut that one off there, and we can just sand away, just make sure it's nice and flat so we don't get any interference. Helps to reduce the gaps. And then this piece is going to sit that way round in there like that, and then this is going to go onto the top like that. So there's, I think this is a catalytic converter, or it may be a pre-muffler or something. I'll have to ask my neighbour. And then this is going to go, you can see we've got like a rectangular peg on that one and a square peg on that one to make sure it goes the right way up. But it's going to go the right way up because you're going to have the bracket facing up. So that's going to go on like that. Okay, it's a nice easy sliding fit, so you don't have to go graunching anything together. So that's good. And then if you look at this diagram here, it shows that the actual mounting bracket is sitting directly beneath that rear frame hole swinging arm. So that's like that. Okay, so we've got our engine basically built up just like that. Right. And then we've got to get a piece of vinyl tubing, 97mm long, and we're going to fit that onto that. That's the clutch cable. So piece of vinyl tubing. Okay, piece of vinyl tubing here, a lovely length of it, and then a rule. In fact, I can use a rule which is clearer for you to see. Here we go. This one here. So we will get our rule turned this way, and we'll get the flexible pipe. In fact, no, we'll go this way round. 97mm, which is there, and then come down with our knife and just cut it off like that. There we go, that's that done. And then we'll put our vinyl tube away, save it for a rainy day. That can go back in its bag, back in the box. 97mm, and that is going to push onto that pin there. Okay, it looks like it's going to be a nice snug fit. So we'll just grab our tweezers. Try not to squeeze the pipe, because generally when you squeeze this pipe it doesn't come back, it leaves a flat on it. So that is fitted on there beautifully, that's lovely. Other manufacturers should take note. That's lovely. Right, so that's there. So we've got the vinyl tubing on, we've got all the exhaust done, so we've done all of that, and now we are going to say goodbye, and I will see you back for part 3, and we're going to get on with the rear swinging arm and get all this together, and then we're into the chain, and then we're onto wheels. So it's really going to come together quickly, this one. I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a look in the link down below. Go and have a look at Tiger Hobbies, where you can order yourself one, and well, as of today it's not available, but today is it's the beginning of June 2025, but very soon it will be. But you can go on to Tiger Hobbies, you can put your email address in there, and they will contact you as soon as it comes into stock. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.